Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are from Group 1. Before we start our discussion, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Rachma Dianty. My students number 232122001 and 3, and my friends.
And I'm Tanti Permata Sari with students number 232122012.
My name is Anggi Agustina, and my student's number is 232122014.
My name is Ghea Fajri Silmi. My student's number 2321222018.
I'm Bilqis Elora Nuro with students number 232122029.
My name is Wina Pujianita Wibowo. My students number 232122033.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm excited to share with you about the research project method in ELT, teaching listening. So our group decided to use audiolingual method or ALM to teach pre-intermediate learners. So let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about the description and principle about audiolingual method, procedures, advantage and disadvantage, preparation, warming up activity, core activity, and last warming down activity. So without any further ado, let's start from description and principle of audiolingual method.
Okay, so audiolingual method. Audiolingual method is a method of foreign language teaching that emphasizes the learning of grammatical structures and phonology, especially for speaking and listening. This method is based on behaviorism and relies on shaping as the basis for learning through a lot of mechanical repetition. And the principle of the audiolingual method, or ALM, is a language learning approach that views language as a system of symbols for speaking, with practice reinforcing these habits. It emphasizes listening before speaking, with teachers correcting mistakes, using drills and repetition to remember language patterns, and serving as a model for pronunciation and grammar. And next material will be explained by Ghea.
All right, the procedure stage divided into 5 points. The first is planning. There are material preparation and lesson structuring. Prepare relevant audio materials and structured lesson plans focused on listening comprehension. And the second is action. There are introduction of listening material, focused listening activities, choral and individual repetition, and comprehension checks. Introduce audio recordings that reflect real-life context at the suitable phase, and engage students in listening activities. First, have them listen for general understanding, then focus on details. Follow up with choral and individual repetition, role-playing based on the dialogues, and comprehension checks to reinforce understanding. And the third is observation. There are monitoring engagement, correction, and adaptation of techniques. Monitor student engagement and comprehension, providing feedback and adjusting techniques based on their responses. And the fourth is evaluation. There are pre and post testing, performance analysis, and feedback collection. Conduct pre and post tests to gauge improvement in listening skills, analyze results, and collect student feedback on the effectiveness of the approach. And the last is reflection. There are outcome review and continuous improvement. Review outcomes to identify effective strategies and areas for improvement, using this insight to refine future lessons and enhance learning. So the next material will be presented by Tanti.
Okay, next is the advantage from the audiolingual method. Is effectively enhance listening skills by fostering an environment rich in oral practice, repetition, and contextual learning while minimizing reliance on the native language. Visual aids help in the enrichment of vocabulary. Correct, correct pronunciation and structures are learned easily. These elements contribute to a more engaging and effectively learning experience for English learners. And next, the disadvantage of the audiolingual method is usually uses dialogic activities, which may restrict learners' comprehension of more complex vocabulary and grammatical structures. The speed and accent of native speaker are other problems of and the lessons or content is difficult to understand. Therefore, learners may find it challenging to express themselves imaginatively or to adjust their speaking skills for various situations beyond rote memorization of dialogues. This limitation may hinder their communication abilities. Main focus of this method is on language form, not on meaning. The learner assumes a passive role during the learning process. So next material will be explained by Rahma.
So let's move to the next material is talk about the preparation. Before the classroom, teacher need to prepare the following aspect. The first is set planning. The teacher should set a clear listening goal such as understanding the main idea or picking out the specific details in audio. And we can create a simple outline like listening to the audio, taking notes, and preparing a short summary. The second is gather resources. Should prepare listening materials such as short audio clips, vocabulary lists, and visual aids. Choose beginner-friendly audio example like simple conversation or short interview that's suitable for pre-intermediate learners. So the third is arrange equipment and tech support. Ensure access to basic audio playing devices like computers or mobile devices, and we can provide guidance on using headphones and adjusting volume setting to improve the listening focus. The fourth is planning groups and roles. For more effective activity, we can divide students into small group and assign role to ensure everyone is participates. And the fifth is create assessment and reflection tools. Prepare a simple rubric to assess student listening comprehension and plan a discussion session to discuss which strategies that really help them in this activity. So the next we'll talk about the warming up activity, which will be delivered by Anggi.
Okay, thank you, Rahma. So for warming up activity, there are 3 steps. The first one is ice breaking. We can begin with discussion about everyday listening experience like music, simple conversation, or short videos. And we can ask students to share their favorite audio content, and we can ask the reason why they like it to create a relaxed and familiar environment in the classroom. Second is brainstorming. So we can have students to brainstorming a simple topics that they are interested in, such as their hobbies, their favorite foods, or about traveling. And this should be a familiar topics to keep it accessible for all the students in the classroom. And the last one is goal settings. We can guide students to set a small achievable goals. For example, they could aim to understand keywords, general idea, or specific information from short audio clips that we have shared in the classroom. And for the next material about core activity will be explained by Bilqis.
So, okay, for the next point, talk about core activity. For the first one is explain information. It introduces listening strategies like recognizing familiar words and identifying main ideas and focusing on tone. Keep it simple as they are just building their listening skills. And for the second one is listening part one. It provides students with short, clear audio sources, one for 2 minutes, like the beginner podcast, simple interview, legend short story, fabulous short story, or dialogues related to listening strategies. Make sure the content is slightly challenging but understandable for their level, which is a pre-intermediate level. And for the third one is collecting data and analyzing. It helps students analyze the audio by encouraging them to pick out keywords, main idea, and important phrases. Use visual aids such as mind maps, simple charts to help them organize their thoughts. And then for the fourth is listening part two and analyzing. Students will be grouped in small groups, and then students share what they understood from the audio, and they compare notes, discuss key points, and clarify misunderstanding with each other. And then for the fifth is supporting language needs. It provides target vocabulary and phrases that will help them understand and discuss the topic along with phrases for simple summaries and expressing opinion. And for the last one is creating and practicing for the students. Students will be prepare a simple presentation either individually or in pair, focusing in clear communication and basic listening comprehension. And then they could share a few sentences about what they learned or what they like about the audio content. Okay, for the next point is warming down activity will be delivered by Wina.
Then the last point is warming down activities. There are three steps in warming down. First is project presentation. Students share their findings or share a summary of what they listened to. Encourage them to include a few specific details or interesting points that notice. In project presentation, each student or group is given a set time for the presentation, which allows them to highlight key details and interesting points they discovered during their listening activities. This not only enhances their understanding of the topic, but also improves their public speaking skills. And second is project review and reflection. Have a brief reflection session where students discuss what they learned and any listening strategies that help them. They could also share which audio content they found most interesting. In project review and reflection, educators can support conversation that encourage students to articulate their thoughts and feelings about the material. This reflective practice not only deepens their understanding but also increases self awareness regarding their learning process and preferences. And last is feedback exchange. Students give each other positive feedback, focusing on what they understood well and how clearly they presented their ideas. You can guide them to use simple phrases for feedback. In feedback exchange, are conducted in pairs or small groups, and students give each other feedbacks, focus on the strength and clarity of the presentation. This practice not only improve confidence but also encourage a collaborative atmosphere in the classroom. And as students realize that the importance of sharing insight and celebrating each other's success. That's all about warming down activities.
So that's all our explanation about the audiolingual method for teaching listening in pre-intermediate learners. So if you guys have any question, you feel free to ask or drop your question on column section. Thank you for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.